Hello, and welcome to the DreamMaker Coach's Corner podcast. I'm very excited about our session today. We are talking about family, business, and boundaries. And I am Renee Cruz. I am a franchise coach as well as training specialist at DreamMaker Bath and Kitchen Corporate. But I am here with Roger and Linda Williams from Tyler, Texas. They were gracious enough to join me on their 44th wedding anniversary. So, gone are the years of paper and ceramics. This is the year of the podcast. I'd like to thank you both for being with me, Roger and Linda. And I'm going to turn it over to the both of you to just give us a little bit of background briefly on your previous life as well as your time with DreamMaker. So, Roger, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of background.
Okay, thanks, Renee. Yeah, we have been a franchise owner for just over 8 years now. This franchise came about in a time where I was being separated from my oil and gas business. I'd been in that industry for over 25 years and was looking for something to do that I had an interest in. Out of that corporate life, I'd climbed the corporate ladder, and the old proverbial thing says, your ladder was up against the wrong wall. So, I wanted to get into the remodeling, woodworking, construction type arena, and the Lord led us to DreamMaker, and it's been a beautiful relationship ever since. So that's me.
Wonderful. And Linda?
My background was in church ministry. I was a preschool ministry as a minister for 15 to 20 years. We got transferred, and so that led me into being retiring from that ministry, which at that time we didn't know why, but now we do know why. God was leading us in a different direction. So that being said, when we moved to Tyler and started the business, that was God's plan all along for us to start this ministry in our life now in this season of life. So that's kind of where we are now.
Wonderful. That's amazing. So obviously today we're talking about families and business and drawing boundaries and navigating the complexity of family-run franchises. And as many of us know, we're in business with each other. And so how do you draw those lines? And so what I'd like to hear from you, Roger and Linda, what roles do family members play in your business? And Roger, I'll turn it over to you first. What is your role at the Tyler location?
Okay, my role here is I am the owner on paper, but I am the president, general manager, Mr. Whatever you need me to be. But at the end of the day, I run the business, and working for us is Linda, which is my wife. She is also the office manager, and she also helps with client selections. Also working for us is Nick, which is our son, one of our sons, and he is our salesperson. And Nick started in the ground floor out in the field and worked his way, and he is sales now. And so the three of us work together. Our team of four, we have a lead carpenter, soon to be 5. We have a lead carpenter that's not a family member, but he's been with us for over 7 years now. So that's kind of where we are, our family role, our dynamics, and where we all fit.
Wonderful. Thank you. So what boundaries have helped you to maintain peace at home and work?
Let's see. Well, each of us are, Linda and I have always been, it's just been us. We got married, moved away from families, and it's just been us everywhere we've gone. We moved several times with business over the years, and it's always just been us. We're together all the time. People look at us like we're crazy when I say, I work with my wife hand in hand, and they go, oh, I could never do that. Well, for us, it's never been an issue. God put us together. God takes care of us. We do everything, try to do it that way with that mindset in play. But sometimes it is business, and sometimes you have to make that hard decision. And everybody understands the boundaries. Everybody understands their role within the business. And we make a big effort to it's not personal. It's just the business piece of it. And
Right.
so we really work hard at that and getting along and respecting each other's boundaries, each other's roles within the company, and let those people handle that piece of the business. It hasn't always been easy getting to that point,
Oh, we'll get
but
to some of those questions later,
it
Roger.
hasn't been easy, but we got there, and that's kind of where we are. Linda, you may have a different take, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I'll add to that. One of the main things that that we learned from another franchisee that works together is you have to sometimes say, I'm putting my work hat on or I'm putting my wife
Mm-hmm.
hat on. And so that way you can separate work from home. You tend to go home and talk about work. So you
Yeah.
have to make a conscious effort to say, okay, we're not at work, we're at home. So let's talk about the kids or talk about us or just something else in general. I think that's very important to find that time to not talk about work or,
Yeah.
so you can separate. So, but I think we do a good job at doing that for the most of the time. And if it comes a point in time where I've had enough of Roger being my boss, I will just say I need to go shopping. So he knows
So
that's
if
a
he
good
wants to save
cue.
money on the budget, he
That's
better
right.
mind his P's and Q's.
There you go.
It's
Note
also a
taken.
case to where I see, Linda, don't you need to go shopping for a while?
Oh, no.
That's right.
You need to take a break. You need to step
Some
away.
retail
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Let me ask you this question. So if what do you do if you have a family member who is not as motivated or has different priorities from yourself other than going shopping? What is your method for navigating something like that?
Well, one thing we do talk about it quite a bit because this is our livelihood.
Yeah.
This is our business. This is even not Nick, our son. He realizes we talk about this. This is how he gets paid to
Yeah.
support his family. We all have that goal. We want to do our best here and do our best to make the business more successful. Because at some point down the road, Linda and I are going to be exiting, and our long-term plan is to have Nick take over. So he's got a vested interest in the business. So I don't think all of us have a day where we're down or whatever, but all of us are motivated at the end goal of making this business successful and glorify God in all that we do. And that's helping customers. So that's our
Yeah.
goal. So we're all motivated, so I don't think that's ever an issue.
Yeah. Well, finding a
I think when
shared
we do
goal,
have
right?
a problem, and one of us is not as motivated as the other, we can actually talk about it. One of us can say, okay, let's get back on track here. What do we need to do for today to get us back on track? Sometimes, yeah, I have to put on the wife or the mother mode and say, okay, let's let's put this aside and let's get in our work mode, or whatever it
Mhm.
may be, and get back on track to what we need to do for the business.
One thing that your location does very well too that I've noticed is you have your focus meetings, right? So you're setting those expectations and communicating on a regular basis. And
Correct.
so I think that that is a very good attribute as well because it's easier to have a shared vision when the communication is there. And I think that's a key element. I mean, obviously we're not perfect. So, how do you handle disagreements or decision making? Who has the final say?
Go ahead, Linda.
I think therein lies our answer.
I think it's a joint decision. I think we talk it through. I think when there are disagreements, we feel free to say, I disagree with that. But at the end of the day, Roger actually has the ultimate decision there as far as, you make that final decision. You are the owner and the president of the company. So that's the way. And he is the leader of our home as well. I think that's the way God designs it. Do I think I have an opinion and Nick has an opinion? Absolutely. And we will talk it through. But at the end
Right.
of the day, we're going to make the best decision for the company and our family.
Yeah. What is the best part of working with family, in your opinion?
Being with me, right?
Oh, yes, honey. I think the best part it is that we know what's going on. We're in each other's lives. We get to know what struggles are, not struggles are, and by doing that, we don't necessarily take them home. A lot of people, they work
Yeah.
separate and they go home and they got to have that data dump,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one or the other has to take the sit and listen cap on and go through that for a time in the evening. Well, we
Yeah.
don't. It's here. Not that we don't talk about business at night, but it's not that often. It's more of, okay, in the morning I get up, what's my first thing on my agenda, kind
Yeah.
of thing. Linda and I do get away and say, okay, we need to go talk about the business, do some planning, future planning, budget time's coming. So we're going to have that time coming up where we get away and talk about that and really think about the business and pray about the business and
Yeah.
seek that recommendation from God, say, hey, this is what I want you to do, whatever. But, we do that and we do our focus meetings.
Yeah.
We meet with, I meet with the carpenters every Monday morning. Then once a month, the whole staff comes together and we go over post jobs, what's going on there, what's coming up. If Linda has any office administrative things she needs to bring up, that's what we do it then. And then we talk about, whatever during that meeting. It becomes an open mic at the end. What do you need to say? What do you want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about? So, yeah.
How about you, Linda?
I think one of the best parts of working with family would be actually spending time with family. I mean, that's what we enjoy doing. So I don't consider it work, to be honest. I do enjoy being with Roger and Nick during the day and getting to share, whatever is happening at that point. We don't have, like Roger
Yeah.
said, we don't have to make an effort to tell them at the end of the day or whatever.
Yeah.
We're sharing it throughout the day. And I think that's important. One of the other things I think that is a key to our business is a lot of our customers like that it's a family business. They like that
Yeah.
it's mom and dad and son, they think that's really cool. So I think that's special as well. I think that's a plus for us.
Yeah, to your point too, a lot of life is what happens in those spaces, right? Those
Absolutely.
little ancillary moments that pop up that you don't always, if you're just getting together for holidays or special occasions, you miss out on some of those moments. So I think that's really special.
Right.
So let's change gears a little bit. I'm going to ask Roger this first. What is the most challenging part of working with family?
Okay. Remember, Renee, I have to go home with Linda after this.
It is our
No, I'm just kidding.
anniversary.
The biggest challenge to me is sometimes you just got to bite your lip. Sometimes if it was a regular, going back to my corporate life, you know,
Mm,
non-family member, you might speak about things or talk a certain way,
yeah,
a little more harshly than you would to a family member sometimes. Not that it wasn't warranted, but here you have to do it in a different tone, a different way, and try to get the same message across, whatever
yeah,
that is, because at the end of the day, we are family,
yeah,
and the number one goal is work. We don't want work to disrupt that, you know.
absolutely.
We all love each other. We all have great respect for each other. So at the end of the day, we have to go home with each other. So the challenging part is, sometimes you get frustrated. Sometimes you want to, probably be a little harsher than you need to be, but you have to stop and, count to 10 or 20 or 30, however many times you count to make sure you do it right, think through things, and communicate that way
Do you think you have higher expectations of family?
always.
Absolutely.
How about you, Linda? What do you think is the most challenging part of working with family?
I kind of, piggyback on that. It's hard to sometimes not want to get on to, let's just say, Nick, because he is my son.
Right.
It's hard not to be the mother at that point, and then you have to think about, okay, I'm his coworker. So let's talk through on a professional work level versus on a mother-son level. And the same with
Yeah.
Roger, I can't get mad and walk out. We've got to
Right.
talk it through, not that
Yeah.
we don't have harsh words for one another anyway.
No,
Is
but we're all
but
humans. I mean, it's
right.
a human response sometimes to just react.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, try not to treat Mike any different than we would each other, which is
Yeah.
Hmm.
not family.
Yeah.
So, I try to treat everyone the same as far as our work family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would
Well, the
probably be the
fact that
most
he's been
challenging.
there, what, 7 years? I mean, I think
Right.
that illustrates that you do have a good operation, and you are like family. What words of wisdom do you have for someone looking to bring a family member into their business or start a franchise with a family member?
I think you need to have some serious conversations up front about whatever that role that person's going to take, and know there are going to be times that you might get frustrated or challenging, but you have to set those expectations up front and have those conversations. Say, you come to work for us, I love you, you're going to do great, but just know there's going to be times
Mm,
that I have to be the boss or I have to be the coworker, whatever. We need to talk about things in business. That's business. You know,
yeah.
it's hard for a lot of people to make that separation, business and family. It's not easy, but if you have those expectations and you have those conversations up front and talk through those scenarios and maybe, seek some advice or some research on those dynamics, how you're going to handle it, not handle it, talk through it, not talk through it. Uh, it was going to help if you go into business together or employee coming in. But they
Yeah.
need to know that it's a business relationship. Business is business, you know? I'm going to love you at the end of the day, just like I do before. But
Yeah.
just know there's going to be times that I have to put the boss hat on or the business hat on and have some hard conversations. But I think if those expectations are set up or talked about and discussed up front, when you come
Yeah.
to that point, say, okay, family member, we need to have a hard conversation.
Mhm.
They know, hey, I remember back when this was going to happen. So this is how we're going to do it. You do it the right way, respectful way, not in a downgrading way or browbeating way. You do it
Mhm.
in a good professional way. And I think that's going to eliminate a lot, you know?
Yeah.
It's not going to be family feud time after because he said no to me, mom, or whatever, like the kids
Right.
do. You tell them no and they get all upset. Well, that's part of learning.
Well, just like Sandler Sales, you're setting up that upfront contract and you're setting those expectations in advance. And I believe from my perspective, when people do get into a harried situation, it's often because they're not setting up in advance those expectations or even the roles for one another. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Linda, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I mean, I totally agree. It's setting the boundaries and putting the hat on, the
Yeah.
work hat and the home hat on, um,
Yeah.
and respecting one another. And at the end of the day, we're family, and that's what matters. So, I mean, and I'm going to be the person that's going to pray about that situation before it happens, as far as
Yeah.
before I approach them, and so that to make sure I'm responding in a way that's not hurtful but
Mhm.
respectful, but yet being able to speak honest to one another.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, family trumps business, you know?
Right.
So you have to have that mindset, so you can't, you want to treat people, everybody equally, fairly.
Mhm.
We're not perfect. The owners are not perfect. The bosses aren't perfect. Family
Right.
members aren't perfect either. You know, we all are human. We all make mistakes. There's only ever been one perfect person ever walked this earth. So,
Right, right.
we're all going to make them on both sides of the fence, you know. But if we all go into expectations is we're doing it with love, we're doing respect, treat them as a human being, that's the way we want to do it, but families first.
Right. Well, so much of what we do in this business is relational, anyhow. So it makes sense to have a solid relationship within your business so that as you're approaching customers and working with customers, that just emanates because that's what the foundation, is being built. I think that's really good. Is there anything else that you wish I had asked you or anything else that you would like to share?
No, me personally, I think for us, Linda, from speaking on my side, for both of us, I think this is a great thing for us because it's always been us. We get to do it together. We love each other greatly, and we get to share that time together, build a business together. And at some point, we're going to retire together. It's just another chapter in our life, another thing God is letting us do. He gave us this business, He's blessing this business, and He's going to bless us after this business.
Right.
But our goal is, as family, to set it up to where Nick's going to be successful when we walk away. And I think if you trust the Lord first in all things, seek His guidance in all things, the rest is going to take care of itself because He's going to take care of you. That was in His Word. So
Right.
to me, that's what I think. I don't think there's anything else we should say or not say. You ask the right questions, about family and business, and but you just got to have your priorities right and go from there.
Wonderful. How about you, Linda?
I
Any
totally
final
agree.
words?
No, I mean, I think you did a great job, and I think people do need to know family and business are sometimes not easy, but
Yeah.
it's well worth it. So,
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for giving me time on your anniversary. I certainly wish you the best and thank you for your contribution.
thank you.
You're welcome, and we did it just for you, Renee.
I appreciate you.